Monfal over for the whole team just went flying. Monfal on team 2, ready to go. We got ourselves Mortal in here as well. Merlin ready to go. We got Cray. We got ourselves Cass. Who's going to be first up, though? I think they're still trying to figure out. Well, Jutsi, are you a Worgen? I just noticed. You never get to play so far. I just noticed your racial. Might actually be a Worgen. Raspin here as a sub, bro. We've got Benchcraft. We got us in Chicago. First up as an enhancement, Shaman versus Gray. Who's still sticking onto the marksman guns here. If he got himself the knockback on this arena, I think it actually could be good. Static Totem does go knocking him back, does not get to grip the Hunter back through the box though, and as he gets himself rapid fires around the corner, actually quite a bit of damage. Cray looking to get himself a stun onto Chicago with a binding shot. Chicago walking into it, but if the stick around, should not take any damage. Lasso does shock Cray, got himself a little bit of damage. Big LA Blaster follow Cray, got himself damage as well, but he might be looking at a bit of recovery. Exil just to get himself a little bit of that self-healing, might have to be rotating more defenses. Chicago catching up quite a lot of healing while the Maelstrom is down for a moment. Cray at least got himself a bit of that range versus Chicago, but you definitely need to get yourself a good CC chain, and you need to get yourself a bit of that max range. I think might just be going for a camo. I think with his health being behind like this, might not be the worst. Yeah, camo is definitely a good play here, as Chicago's gonna have to look out for you. Rapid Fire does end up catching it. Big lightning bolts to the ready, trying to see if it can walk forward. Does get stunned up. Cray still getting zapped. Either way though, if he got himself a bit of damage, Chicago, if you have more Maelstrom, it doesn't mean a Maelstrom, just got a taser in the back pocket, zapping the Hunter. That is so rough. I think this arena definitely was not to a Hunter's advantage with a big pillar of water down the middle. Boxes, you can't just get yourself that good range on the guy and just pelt him away with aim shots. That's a rough one, especially with Chicago, and just if they see you for just a second, they could zap you, right? For a Hunter, they kind of need a little bit of that line of sight. Rapid fire, get behind the corner or behind a wall where they can just keep shooting at you and just whittle you away. For Chicago, they just need to have line of sight of you for like a second, and they can just zap you from a distance or LA blast you for quite a bit of damage. Kaz trying to get himself a setup versus Chicago. Got him out in the open. Chicago trying to go for big zappies. That's going to be a lot of damage. That gives him mind games to heal Kaz for a second stun. By Kaz, got himself a siphon, potentially big damage with a PI and everything available. And it's going to be a static totem for Chicago, as Kaz looking to get himself maybe a bit of healing in between all those shadowy casts. Starting to see if he can ramp up a little bit of damage on Chicago. The pet is in. Trinket out for Kaz really quickly. Sounds of Chicago. Mindful Insanity actually doing a big number, as Chicago trying to find himself and out of this situation. That was with the silence too and everything, but plenty of Maelstrom at the ready. Got himself a healing totem into a fear right after. And let's see how to pre-chamber for this one. There's no outs right now. Fade for a moment for Kaz, trying to see if he can get himself the big eruptions left and right. Dark Ascension almost connects. That's going to be a hex for Chicago. Just trying to see if he can establish some control while the interrupt is on cooldown. Got himself the pets at the ready. Big zaps to follow. That's going to be plenty of output with a knockback on the Kaz. Still trying to cast the Dark Ascension. The man is just not given the opportunity. Stun on Chicago. Maybe Dark Ascension finally connects with a mind games. Does hit? No, avoids all these void bolts fairly quickly. Kaz able to zone out Chicago, but a quick root does at least stop the whole void eruption in a very central location. Zap to follow with a Lassa, has to go for a disperse. Pretty good way to counter it. Does catch up a bit of healing while we're slowly climbing to the 15% dampen a quick fear by the priest. Got himself big torrent onto Chicago, as I look at the frost shock him down. Silence, have himself Siphon. So for Kaz is trying to see if he can get himself whatever recovery at all possible. He's a bit behind on CC for a second, unless he can get a silent stun combo. Stun and a fear combo would be really, really good. I don't know if he ends up using them both or not. Does end up hitting with a totem, putting him out in the open. Not a great spot. Can't really go anywhere unless he can somehow take down the totem to break down the lightning with a fear to follow. Mind games into Chicago with a VT after. Does get quite a bit of damage. Chicago looking for a bit of healing. Are you spam healing, or are you just trying to get like buffs up right now? Because it wasn't mind games on you for a second. The crown of purple, last on the cast. Is that just gonna be the end? Fades out for a second. Just use one big hit, and Chicago does get the LA blast in between of it. That is a tough one because it is a shaman with just constant control, constant ways to get mini interruptions in your cast. And as a shadow priest, you are a class that needs to get a little bit of cast in there, right? So it's a little bit tough though. It is gonna be weird and difficult to fight against. I don't think a shadow priest would win that encounter in most cases. Monfeld got quite a bit of damage, but Chicago, again, enough CC, enough slows, roots and everything, just to establish control over a demon hunter. Quick Sunder for I was gonna call it flurry for some reason, but a quick Sunder, trying to see if he could move the totem, but actually Monfort leaping right over the lightning over the totem, the static of the totem, trying to see if he could hold chase onto Chicago, trinkets out of the lasso, and Chicago using whatever mobility they got to stay ahead of Monfort. If you got a slows and mobility, I mean, Demon Hunters can compete. Demon Hunters cannot deal with slows at all. Try to go for a full hunt. Chicago does get avoided last second. If anything, actually, if Chicago can save a root totem as Monfort tries to go for a quick hunt, if you can root him as the hunt casts, oh, that'll be huge for the Shaman. Trying to see if he can fight through this with a Bloodlust, does go for the full Sunder. Wait, Hunt still connects. There's still that green aura around Chicago. Hunt connected, but that could have been an awesome Sunder to disrupt it. Does go for the immunity, and Chicago just fights right back to Monfort. Still plenty of pets in the ready. Big zaps available. Does go for that shock right through the heart of a DH. That is a tough one when you got all the pets and everything up, especially if you got those lightning raptors. That's just gonna buff up the damage of your lightning bolt, and you got a primordial that's gonna spawn in an extra lightning raptor that just going to like triple increase the damage of an next lightning bolt, which is just gonna be like an absolute hard stopper. Plus, on top of, you also have the elemental blast that could follow afterwards. And Merlin now just kind of trapped up by the totem with the hex to follow, bubbles it off just to see if he can maintain his full crusade damage. That's a pretty big commitment when it comes to cooldowns. But Chicago trying to see if it can avoid him. Dampening getting kind of high though, 32%. Chicago's healing is going to start to feel very, very, very much reduced from hero point out. For Merlin, still got himself Blessing Protection, or could be Spell Warden, might be huge. Lay in Hands too could potentially give himself a decent play. Shield of Vengeance is up. Chicago blasting the shield with the light. The last should be able to pop it without even needing to be over there. And Merlin not in a great spot right now health-wise. If Chicago can get himself more Ghost Souls, which are coming up in a couple of seconds, if actually you can get yourself, no, just go in there for Lava Lash. Doesn't even need to do that. Just Lava Lash on its own does plenty of damage, and Shamans are very much elemental in their playstyle. Mortal charging in, blasting off Chicago, full crusade immediately, trying to go for a hex, trying not to get juked, but it's still going to be plenty of damage by the Paladin, looking for a healing surge, but I think it just might be over. Does go for the big spike with Vengecraft up next with a hunt, doesn't want to give Mortal any chance to recover whatsoever. Nan's got potentially a bubble to use right now, does go in for the bubble. Venge trying to see if he can bust out of there as fast as possible. Mortal trying to go for the Searing Glare, but while he's got Crusade, he wants to maximize the damage to Venge. Big immunity for DH right now with a meta to follow. Mortal at this point does not have wings, but I think it might be a little bit tough to deal with this. Is that Searing Glare in Connect? With a stun? I think it just might be over. Hold on. Oh, so rough. That is such a good go for Mortal though. That is a tough one. You just get some full cooldowns. I think the only way you could have maybe, I don't know, this is just a tough one. Chicago went for a 4-1 with Mortal able to shut him down at the very end, but they had an absolute spree there, blasting boys left and right. But I feel like if Mortal, maybe there could have been a chance. Like if Chicago went down a little bit earlier and you still have that Crusade for a little bit longer, maybe that could have worked out versus what am I trying to think of? Versus what is this? Hello? Rogue Friend? Can I even slow him? I think I can, right? Yeah. Oh no. How is this guy still alive, just surviving in the middle of Durotar? Sub-rogues, man. They just live eternally. This guy's just gonna make it out like a bandit. Just gonna run away scot-free. There's no shot, right? Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Where'd he go? Yeah, he's just making it out of there scot-free. He's bailing out. Yeah, he just made it out of there. He bailed. All right, we need one more. Let's get another one going, boys.